What's up, guys? Rick from DFS On Demand here with your one and done preview for this week's Farmers Insurance Open. Again, this is not the DFS preview. If you want to go watch that, I will leave the link up above and you can go check that out. But this is for specifically one and done strategy. So last week we had Ricky Fowler. I believe only 127 of us out of 3,200 had Fowler in the big one and done. And hey, pretty happy through 2 rounds, right? He's sitting there 15 under par. He is tied for the lead with Scotty Scheffler, and that is basically all we got out of Ricky Fowler as he faded into a tie for 10th. Very unfortunate, but I still like the idea of what we did correctly. But we don't get points for the idea of it. So let's look a little bit towards this week, and what we really know about the Farmers Insurance Open is historically, at least for the last 5 years or so, a stud wins this golf tournament, which means I think you're going to have to spend a stud. Now, the good news is there are a lot of them to play. So this event with a $7.5 million purse, that's about middle of the road. There's going to be a lot of these tournaments that are $7.5 million purses. So this is going to be kind of like your average event on the PGA Tour. So this field led by Rory McIlroy. I've got him at almost $300,000 of expected value. And if you are new to this video series, this is a calculation that I come up with that basically says, you know, based on everything we know about the golfer, their form coming in, their history, what the average payouts are. Like if you played this tournament 1,000 times, how much money would they average? Rory leads the way at $293,000. Now, if you compare that to other Rory weeks, this is a pretty big number, but like obviously any other major, any other big event, something like the Players, he actually gets closer to 500,000 because that is such a massive prize pool and he wins so often, wins such a large percentage. So you have to decide whether it's worth burning Rory in this spot, which I don't think many people are actually going to do. So let's talk through who I think the actual suspects for you to be able to use are. So I don't think anyone is really playing Rory because they'll probably save him a lot for majors, which I think is fine. If you want to play Rory this week, I think you'll be on the low end of that. I think Justin Rose is certainly in play. John Rahm is in play. I think that if you wanted to get really creative and go back to Ricky Fowler, you would be one of the few guys who were able to do that. But this is, yeah, I mean, that's basically it. I mean, Xander is here. We can look at Xander a little bit because Xander I really like this week. Even though he has not had good success here in the past, despite coming out of Torrey Pines High School. Let's see Xander. So I've got Xander earmarked here for about 148,000. That's a pretty good number for him. Obviously, some of the bigger prize pool events, he gets closer to 200 and 250, but you're not leaving so much on the table that I think it's a really bad play. We've seen Xander win a lot of events with a lot of deep fields. I think it's just fine. Let's see what the ownership was here at the Sony last year. So this tool that I'm showing you, you can get access to this tool and mess around with all this stuff. It's $9 a year. Yeah, a year. That's a great deal. I'll link it in the description and it's on dfsondemand.com. Mark Leishman. It's funny to look back at these and see who the most owned guys were last year. So Leishman, 538 picks. Gary Woodland, 396. That makes sense. Gary Woodland's been really good here. He's probably going to garner similar ownership again this week. And I think that's fine. I mean, Gary's a great play. He's got 4 straight top 10s. I don't know of another course I'm really dying to play him. John Rahm is here, 354. He was a past champion. Tony Finau here. Patrick Cantlay, who's not in the field this week. So interesting guys. Jason Day. I don't know what the temperature on Jason Day is at this point. Through 111 or 111 picked him last year. I don't know what the temperature is on him now, a year later. Probably not as good as it was last year, but he's gonna have just absolute, immaculate course history around here. And then what I've also added to this tool is you can follow along. So let me find somebody who has actually played this year. Cam Smith, I guess, has played this year, right? Because he won the Sony Open. I've added in, actually, you'll now be able to see the 2020 results for each golfer down here when you add your golfer in. So you can see 35 picks for Cam Smith at the Sony Open, and here was his prize. So that's a nice little addition I added. Somebody asked me about that. Along with this, this winner's path is still here. So if you want to see, let's look at last year's Farmers. The eventual winner had Charles Howell III. Again, picked one of the bigger names, but not one of not the most popular one. Now you'll see a lot of the popular guys, death and destruction around Farmers, which we've seen because that course can play so difficult. Everyone who had more than 200 picks, the 5 guys, nobody cashed for more than what, 259,000. So pretty much a bloodbath unless you had Justin Rose here. So you can mess around with this as well. But let's really get down to the nitty gritty here about who you could actually conceivably roster. So I'm looking through these names, and if I want to only pick someone that I think can win, which I guess is a really stupid thing to say, but I really only think there's probably 12 guys or so in this field at the top that handle so much of the win equity. I'm not going to play Rory. I don't think it's really a good play. He would have to win here, probably. And even if he wins, you might actually be giving up money on Rory because he's going to have such a higher expected value. I don't know, 10 more times this year. All the majors, all the invitationals, all that stuff. I don't think you need to play him at a course that has given some of the top guys a bloodbath in the past and can play so difficult and has a 2-round cut. Like, I'd much rather just take him in a no cut WGC. I think that's probably a better play, or a major. Tiger, I will probably wait to play Tiger. I mean, you could play Tiger at API, or at Bay Hill, excuse me. So like you could play Tiger a lot of different places. People will run him back out at the Masters. I could run him back out at the Open Championship. I could also play him at like if he goes back to Valspar or something like that, or even Genesis, like a place where I've seen him play like once in the previous 2 weeks, or once in the previous 3 weeks. The thing with Torrey is we get these really, I'm a hour away. I'll be down there for 2 days. We get these really cold mornings, and what we've seen from guys with back problems is they have trouble warming up. So if he's got an early tee time Thursday morning and he's on the range and it's 40 degrees, obviously it's going to warm up later in the day, but like it's tough for some of these guys to get loose. So I'll probably save Tiger. I think Rahm's in play. I think Rahm's in play in a big way. Actually, he's 8-1 to win the golf tournament. If you kind of think Rahm, like it's conceivable to not use Rahm in a major, right? Because you could easily play Rory, Brooks, Tiger, DJ, Justin Thomas. Like you could easily find 5 or 6 other guys to play in your majors. So if Rahm is kind of the odd man out on your majors, this might be a really good spot for him because obviously a past champion, he's had nothing but success around this course. That feels like a pretty good spot. I actually do think Justin Rose piques my interest a little bit because not only is he a defending champion, but he's been really good around here. He's long off the tee. He's accurate. He's playing well coming in. I don't know where else I'd use him. Like, I'm not dying to use Justin Rose anywhere. So I don't know if I just pick him this week and hope that I'm one of the 100 people that have him and he goes out and wins it again. I guess that's conceivable. Or even Xander. Like, that's probably my short list. Or Gary Woodland, I guess. Xander, a little bit more risky. Gary will be much more popular. Xander will obviously come with a lower ownership. So the good news and bad news about this field is there are plenty of directions that you can go in. I'm going to try to find one of these studs that's pretty low owned. So whether that, like, honestly, if I had the Stones and I didn't already use Ricky, like I might go back to Ricky here because you're going to get him at like, I don't know, 20 people are going to have Ricky Fowler, something crazy. And he can, he's one of the elite players in the field. If he goes out and wins this thing, like that's really enticing, but I just burned him. So that's really the short list. it's a grab bag. It depends on your strategy, but there are a lot of options, and it's going to be a really fun week. So I'm interested to hear who you're going to be rostering. Tweet me. It's at RickRunGood, or leave a comment below. Talk to you guys soon. See ya.